Hi everybody, this is Lee, and I'm doing a follow-up video to the previous about pipelines and fossil fuel industry and what people are doing about it. I'm looking at an article at Common Dreams. The fossil fuel industry needs our consent. We can and must refuse to give it. This is written by Emily Johnston, stated December 24th. She's discussing Donald Trump and Justin Trudeau and the possibility that they may agree together to revive Keystone XL pipeline. And she quotes Justin Trudeau, who actually reminded people that governments might grant permits, but only communities can grant permission. And so Johnston, the person who wrote this video, she's saying that it is the people who have the power to grant permission. She agrees. And so in that case, she says, in democracy, passivity is implicit consent. In any political system, hopelessness is self-fulfilling. She says that when we fight, we win. And so she's also addressing the Bakken oil fields and the urgency behind stopping the expansion of the fossil fuel industry. What can be done about it? She addresses the divestment movement with the banks that actually sponsor and fund the fossil fuel industry, how they can be targeted for divestment. She described her direct action on October 11th. She says that four friends and she initiated the shutdown of all the major tar sands pipelines into the United States. There were five pipelines in four states, which together represented 15% of daily U.S. oil supply. And so she did a direct action. And there were many reactions from admiration to outrage. But along the political spectrum, she said one of the major reactions seemed to be astonishment that she could actually do that. And she's saying, like, yes, you can do that. That people can get in their kayaks in front of an Arctic drilling rig. They can chain themselves to earth moving equipment. They can sit down with friends on an oil train track. They can block a truck. They can lock themselves inside of an office. These are actions. And so she says that there is risk. There is legal risk in lockdowns and valve turning, of course, and that it is harder for some people. They're young people at the beginnings of their careers, people of color who would be targeted for violent or even more violent reprisal, people with small children who cannot be away from them, people with parents that they are the sole caretaker for, that they cannot be away from them. Undocumented people who do not have the paperwork to declare themselves citizens, that there might be more consequence for them. And so she says that's understandable. But there are other sources of, there are other ways to address these issues, like the divestment issue. Anyone can do that. Divest and move their money from banks that sponsor fossil fuel expansion, and then also sponsor state violence against communities that do not want these companies expanding pipelines and fracking in their communities. That they can sign the petitions, they can make the phone calls, they can send support, supplies, equipment, funds, things like that to the activists who are on the front lines. Things like this, attending the hearings, attending the meetings, registering community support. Everyone can do something, and I'll leave that link to this article in the description. There's another article this at Common Dreams, Why Working Locally is the Key to Banning Fracking. Under the Trump administration, our local work to ban fracking is more important than ever. This is by Christian Detchich. This is written December 23rd. And so it's quoting the website Food and Water Watch, how urgent they feel it is to fight against the potential of a Trump administration to create additional environmental disasters. The fact that there was so much silence in the fossil fuel industry and climate change during the general election, other than Jill Stein, there wasn't too much conversation on that. And so it's becoming clear that the fossil fuel industry, the oil and gas industry, seems to think that it has an ally in Donald Trump and the Trump administration. The people who are populating his cabinet and key positions, like Scott Pruitt of EPA, or Rex Tillerson is being considered for Secretary of State. He's with ExxonMobil. And so they're not taking the wait and see approach. I said that we don't really know entirely which way Trump is going to go. The fact that Scott Pruitt has made statements supportive of the sovereignty of indigenous tribes and their land rights and their treaty rights, and the fact that Rick Perry, for instance, comes from a state that's number one for renewable energy, wind energy generation, transmission, distribution. So there's possibilities in either direction. But Food and Water Watch, again, is not taking a chance. And they're saying that the best way to fight this fight for banning fracking is possibly not at the national level, that it's likely a fight that's going to be best won at the local level. And that means looking at local victories. For instance, beating Chevron and banning fracking in Monterey County in California, and then securing a moratorium on fracking in Maryland and hopefully making it permanent with the Baltimore City Council passing a resolution to make the ban complete in 2017. And then stopping oil and gas infrastructure projects like the Constitution Pipeline in New York, and then export facilities in Oregon. Also, winning fracking bans like the ones in Miami-Dade County, Florida, and Alameda County, California. And so it's difficult, but the list of victories is growing at the local level. And I'll leave a link to this article also in the description so people can see what can be done and the importance of local politics. In addition, there is an article at Truth Out, a last resort that might work. Small town votes on community bill of rights to ban fracking. And this is by Jaime Alfaro, Yes Magazine. This is December 24th. And so Kelly Jacobs of Waterville, Ohio, a mother of two small children, actually became concerned about a proposed natural gas pipeline. And so she said a community bill of rights would possibly block the proposed pipeline and guarantee their right to clean air, water, and soil. And so the issue was the Nexus pipeline, which I spoke about in a previous video, the 255-mile transmission system. It was to bring fracked natural gas from eastern Ohio to southeastern Michigan. And this was a project of Spectra Energy, a company based in Houston. And the pipeline was to run under Maumee River and through several Waterville neighborhoods. The company also wanted to build a compressor station that would move gas along the pipeline. And so it was a fight against environmental contamination. It was a fight to protect the public health of that neighborhood. And Kelly Jacobs took the point position. She went door to door, informing her neighbors. She was concerned about the potential effects on air and water. And so the residents appealed to local officials, and they said it was up to state and federal agencies. Then they turned to FERC and the Ohio Environmental Protection Agency, and found not a lot of support. And so they finally enlisted the help of the Community Environmental Defense Fund, a public interest law firm, and they advocate for local control over environmental issues. And so it's not sure of how this Community Bill of Rights will fare in court, but it is having effects. Um, let's see. It's come up in their city council meeting that pipeline officials had sent a letter to the city requesting permission to survey, and that permission was declined because Waterville has a law banning the pipeline. And so then FERC moved the pipeline one step forward. The local law did pass 60 to 40%, so there is support for the community. So there is a fight still going on. They're concerned about the compressor station. The city's Bill of Rights hasn't been tested in court yet, and it's not clear whether it will be effective in stopping the pipeline. But they saw the state proceed to grant permits to Nexus anyway. But it's an important legislative step, this Community Bill of Rights. And so this is what's happening at the local level. It's local residents who are fighting for clean water, clean air, an end to fossil fuel expansion. I'll leave these links in the description. And if you're interested in joining these fights at the local level in your own communities, hopefully these will point to certain methods that you can use to protect your families. Good luck.